today on the show, we're going to be making meatloaf, or as it's called in the book, beef loaf. Like all the recipes on my show, I've never made this before, so I don't know how it's going to taste in the end. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to test out these vintage recipes so you don't have to, and hopefully give you something that I think is good that you will enjoy. If you saw my previous video, you would have seen that I made a 1930s era barbecue sauce recipe. And when Dan and I tasted it, we felt that it was more suited to being in a meatloaf rather than on ribs. It was a bit of a different type of barbecue sauce. So I have a bunch of that left over, and I thought, well, I'm going to put it in a meatloaf, and I'm going to use the beef loaf recipe that's in the same book that I got the barbecue sauce out of. It's from the Watkins cookbook, which was copyrighted around 1938, and let's get started. So this recipe tells you to use 4 pounds of ground beef and 1/4 pound of ground pork. Now, I happen to have 3 pounds of ground beef in my freezer and 1¼ pounds of ground pork. And I'm just going to use what I have on hand. I don't think it's going to really affect the flavor that much. Another note about the spices, it doesn't give you the amounts for a lot of the spices in the recipe, so I am going to just improvise a little bit. As always, I will include the recipe down below in the description box, and I'm also going to give you a link to the barbecue sauce video recipe that I did, so you can go back to that video, take a look at it, and then take a look at the recipe in the description box there. My cat is begging to go outside, and they're not allowed outside without supervision because we have a lot of coyotes where I live, and they kill cats. And he doesn't understand that, and I feel really guilty telling him no, but you'll get to go outside on the harness later when I can supervise you and make sure you don't get eaten. Alright, so I have my ground beef and my ground pork in this bowl, and it's part of the label. So what I'm going to add to it, it says 3/4 cup of milk. Okay. Basically, we throw everything in the bowl and blend it. So 3/4 cups of milk, that seems like a lot of liquid. I don't know. I never know. Okay, then we need 4 tablespoons of cream. Tully, you're not going outside. You're not going outside. I just want to do one simple thing. We need to add salt, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. It doesn't specify the amount of salt. And then we need to add, I'm adding pepper. Again, I'm adding a teaspoon. It doesn't specify how much. It says onion seasoning. I'm assuming that's onion powder. I'm adding a teaspoon. And there we go. And then it says you can use celery salt or a 1/2 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. So that's what I've got, poultry seasoning here. So 1/2 teaspoon of that. Basically, you blend all this up. So I'm going to wash my hands because I think the easiest way to do this, honestly, is to just wash your hands and get in there. Look at this little monster. He's cute, but boy, does he want to get his own way. Wash my hands again. Oh boy. There's a feeling you never get used to. I'm adding some of my barbecue sauce to it. And I'm probably gonna do, it's already got a lot of liquid, maybe about 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup. And my hands are clean. I'm gonna just get back in there and mix again. All right, our meatloaf mixture is mixed. The next thing we wanna do is beat 3 eggs, and then we're going to form the meatloaf into 2 loaves, and then we're going to crush 8 crackers, and I'm using saltine crackers, and then we're going to roll the loaves in the egg and then in the crackers. So let's do that. 1 egg, 2, 3 eggs. I baked saltines in this bag, and we need to crush them. It's a good time to get out your aggressions. I like to think of something that really pisses me off, and then I just go to town on it. Be careful not to break the bag, though. So I've got 2 containers here, put my cracker crumbs in one, and then eggs in another, and I've got my sheet pan set off to the side. I think you can just barely see it. Okay, so this looks to be about half. I mean, it smells good. This is not really like, is this really what they want me to do? A lot of times with these old recipes that I'm reading them, I'm like, I hope I'm doing this right, because this seems really weird and like a big pain in the butt to be doing it this way. I would rather freeform it on a pan and then brush it with egg and sprinkle cracker crumbs on it. But you could put whatever kind of sauce in this you want. You don't have to put sauce in this if you don't want to. I just wanted to use up the sauce that I made and didn't, because I don't like wasting food. And I think in the spirit of vintage recipes, they typically didn't waste food back then, so I'm not going to either. And this doesn't seem like enough cracker crumbs. I was kind of thinking that when I was reading the original recipe, that this wasn't going to be enough cracker crumbs, and I think I'm still thinking that. And again, you can use whatever cracker crumbs you want. I happen to have saltines on hand. My cat is driving me nuts. He was quiet all day until he saw the camera come out, and then he's like, oh, hell yeah. And now my two cats are fighting in the garage. I don't know if you guys can hear them. Oh, someone hissed. This is a big pain in the butt. I don't recommend you do this way. This is just a huge pain in the butt. So it's just me and Dan in the house. Oh. Why are they being so horrible? Usually this is a peaceful house. Oh my God, this is a pain. So now I'm trying to navigate how to make a meatloaf. And then I've got two cats that are hissing and fighting with each other, and they don't typically do that. So I've got my two meatloaves, and it says to bake them for about an hour at a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven, and to baste them while they're cooking. Now, it says for the basting sauce, you want to take some butter, the size of an egg, and mix it with some hot water. So you're going to melt butter and hot water together, and then that's what you're going to use to baste your meatloaves. This is the second recipe I've seen in this book that measures butter that way. Butter the size of an egg. And I mean, that's weird to me because eggs, it doesn't even specify what species the egg should come from. Like a chicken, a duck, like what, a freaking ostrich. You know, why? That's vague. I feel like that's vague. But whatever, it is what it is. So the egg thing really bothers me because, let me show you. I have a ton, I have chickens, so I have a lot of eggs. And let me show you the, just the sheer differences in egg size. Butter the size of an egg thing is kind of bothering me. Eggs come in all different sizes. So like I get this egg from one of my hens. I think this is from Pat the chicken. And I know that this one has 2 yolks in it because she always lays eggs with 2 yolks in them. And I've got a Sharpie for comparison. Look at that. That's a big egg. This is a big egg and it's heavy. Compared to an average egg I get from one of my other hens. So, Sharpie for comparison. Let's just lay these out so you guys kind of get an idea on the size. Let me do a little bit better so you can get a better idea on the size. Okay, now I also got this egg from one of my chickens. What the heck? Teeny tiny chicken egg. I've only gotten one this size. It's time for the taste test. I've got Dan here.
Hey everybody.
And the meatloaf is done. Now, I did not baste this with the butter-water mixture. Before it went to the oven, I just covered it with the rest of the barbecue sauce and just baked it that way. And it ended up being in the oven for about like an hour and 15 minutes. So, I just wanted to get rid of the sauce. You ready?
Yeah. That made a fantastic meatloaf sauce.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent meatloaf sauce. Definitely not a barbecue sauce. Definitely a meatloaf sauce. That is delicious. So this meatloaf, I have the recipe right here. It's just ground beef, ground pork, and some spices. And then you whisk eggs and you have to roll the log in egg yolk, or just mixed eggs, and then crushed crackers. And it was a pain in the butt. And
It
I was
tastes
like,
delicious though.
yeah, well, because I pureed that barbecue sauce and it had a bunch of vegetables in it. So that gives it a ton of flavors. Because this is, I mean, without that sauce, I think this would have been a really plain meatloaf, you know, really plain. So the sauce adds a lot to it. I would definitely make this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And you can make it really, it's a basic meatloaf recipe. Beef loaf. I apologize. It's called beef loaf.
Oh, beef loaf.
Not meatloaf. Beef loaf. It's a basic recipe. You could do whatever you want to it, which is great. Customizable. We like that.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Definitely
I don't have any complaints.
Well, we have 2 of them, so thank God. Yeah, this was a delicious meatloaf recipe. I hope you give it a try. If you give it a try and you like it, please leave a comment below and let me know. I would love to hear your response to this. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe and hit the like button. I upload new content every Wednesday and Sunday. Join me and Dan taste testing vintage recipes that are new to us, which is exciting.
And we hope you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have a good day.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right.